Hi, I'm Megan Lee with CCM Magazine. I'm sitting here today with Josh Baldwin of Bethel Music. Josh, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm
So
so
good
excited
to
to
be here.
have you in here because I just found out that you're recently a new Nashvilleian, kind of.
I am. We moved here 9 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like in nowadays terms, 9 months is actually pretty long. Like everybody is.
It feels like a couple years. I was thinking, I was like, we've moved here 2 years. No, just 9 months.
COVID time, I feel
It
like
is,
definitely
yeah.
extends it too. There's
Yeah.
just so many new people moving to Nashville. So even if you've been here for 2 years, then you're
know.
like an original now.
And I was here a lot. I've been here a lot over the last 2 or 3 years. So I've already kind of felt like I was.
We've been
living
talking
here,
about you
but
bopping around a little bit, but
Yeah.
does this feel a little like home because you know so many people here
It
already?
does. It
You have your
does.
spot, you have your
do.
family almost.
I have. It's been. I mean, we've been here a lot over the last 2 or 3 years, in and out, songwriting and recording and things like that. Touring out from. I would fly into Nashville and leave for a tour.
Disperse.
Yeah. So I definitely had like my crew and our community that we already kind of moved into, which was really nice. And favorite restaurants and places here and there.
Oh man,
and
you have
spots
favorite
and
restaurants
all.
here?
Well, I mean, I don't know a favorite, but just like.
I was gonna get the exclusive.
Spots.
Of
Oh
like, what
gosh.
spot
Like,
could you
where
do?
to go?
Where's a Josh Baldwin
I mean, I don't
spotting?
feel like I definitely don't feel like I have enough knowledge and experience to throw out. I'd be throwing out the names that everyone that.
You were talking about coffee.
goes
Do you
here.
have a favorite cafe? We have quite
I mean,
a few.
I know you do have. I mean, there's Crema, the one that everybody loves. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm in a little town right outside of Franklin, which is outside of Nashville, and then I'm in Thompson Station, and there's this little coffee shop that opened up like right down the road called 1819. I
Ooh.
think. Yeah, and it's.
So it's like a little hole in the wall.
It's just
is that your jam?
And that's my jam because it's close. Honestly, I love coffee, but I'm not like a snob about it.
Close.
I'm more about convenience than anything.
Convenience. Do you
Honestly,
know the
than anything.
owner and everything? Like you're like
Yes,
that type
I do.
of person.
I've already like met him, and yeah,
I feel like
that's my spot.
That's like such a good in touch creative person. Like you definitely
Yeah.
know your. I guess you call them baristas. Is
Yeah.
that way? It's like almost too frou-frou-y. That's
I
a
know.
Nashville name.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. No, I'm like, I just know the guy.
You know the guy who
Yeah.
works at the bank. You know the
Right.
guy who pours your coffee.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it is.
I
That's
know,
how
I
it
love
should
it.
be.
It's
like
good.
almost small town.
It is.
So you've bopped around a little bit. Obviously, you grew up on the East Coast.
Yeah.
We were kind of asking. You've also lived on the West Coast. Where is the place to be? Obviously, I think that Central, like Tennessee, is the
Yeah.
place to be. But I'm also from Central New York, so
Okay.
I guess I could kind of
Oh,
see
yeah.
why you could be an East Coaster. But
I mean, convenience-wise, I mean, right here in Nashville area is very convenient for traveling, which is doing that all the time and
Right.
for a living, that makes it amazing. But, I mean, I'm from North Carolina. I think I'll always be a Carolina boy. But we loved our time in California, and we were in Northern California, in Redding, and we loved it, and it's beautiful. I mean, it doesn't get much better than the California scenery
Yeah.
and all that. It's amazing.
in those
So,
states, you kind of get every single feature.
Yeah, yeah.
If you travel
Yeah.
through the whole state, you can get beach
I know
and
that is
redwoods.
well. That's what I
and-
love about California reminded me of North Carolina in that it does have we have the beach and you have cities, you have the mountains and
Yeah.
all of that. So I do love that about North Carolina and California. It is a little weird for me to be in Tennessee and there's like
You're landlocked.
yeah
now,
you're landlocked. There's no ocean.
except for when it floods.
Right.
And then it
So
feels
that-
like
yeah,
we are
there
just
is
all
that.
water.
But we love it here and it feels like home and it
Yay.
feels
Well,
it's good to be in the South
fantastic.
again.
So you kind of you kind of came out of what was an odd, year and a half.
Yeah.
Moved to a new state.
Yeah.
How did you feel? I mean, it sounds like you were ready to we're just going to turn the page,
Yeah.
start something new, kind of move forward. Everybody has a different experience. What was your experience through the last, I guess, it's almost 2 years
Yeah,
now?
I know. It feels crazy. And sometimes it feels like 2 months, and other
I
times
know.
it feels like 8 years. Just, I think, well, with the transition and moving and all that, I think we had, for the last few years, we had kind of felt like, oh, I think maybe down the road we could see ourselves moving to this area, to Nashville area, and but it wasn't like in the near future
Yeah.
that we saw it. You know, it was just like, oh, this makes sense for what we do and closer to home. But yeah, 2020 and everything, it just kind of like, it started to snowball.
It expedited everything.
Yeah, it did. It just was like, and I've talked to many people where it was like little dreams or prayers that they've had that they were, you know, my wife and I talked about this. We go to the Lord, and it's like that year just kind of like moved it ahead of time. Like, okay, it's time now.
The timeline jumped a little.
Yeah, and the minute we started to at least embrace the thought of it, like, okay, what if this is now and not later? The Lord just started like putting things into place, and you know, stuff started happening.
It's funny because we always think of God's timing as we think of our patience and as Him being slow.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me you're talking about God's timing as in, okay, we're gonna actually skip these steps that you had planned,
right?
And we're gonna jump a couple steps
I know.
ahead.
And you don't always know until like after.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I remember this is last year, maybe in October or November, and when we started to talk to our leaders out in Redding and at Bethel, and just kind of tell them like, here's what we're feeling. And in my head, I'm like, I think it'll be like spring 2021. You know, I was thinking like May, June, something like that. And my wife's like, I think it's gonna be first of the year, babe. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's crazy. We're not. And she's like, I keep feeling like, you know, she's the one, like, she'll have a crazy dream, and you know, we make a move on that, and it's like, oh wow, we see that later. That was the Lord, like.
Wow.
And so I remember now, the minute we started like we put our house up, the minute we looked for a house here, it just kind of like snowballed, and January 7th was when we were moving here, and I was like, what is happening?
What is happening?
And then now looking at it, you know, once we got to the spring, we look back and we're like, oh, I'm so, like, things are all just become more and more clear as to why the Lord had us move then.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was such an adventure, and it's so fun. I mean, moving from North Carolina all the way to California, and then 6 years later coming all the way back, it's been crazy, but it's actually been really smooth, and I think it's because it was the Lord's timing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, listening to you, like, it just kind of working in the housing and the leaving and like, that's so, when you're trying to make moves and there's blockage there, it kind of reminds you when it's just working, you're like, okay, we're going, like,
right,
this isn't normal, we're going because this is working.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably like that in music too. If we're looking at your creative life through the last year and a half, I've seen you do a couple collaborations. I've seen you kind of tap into what you've done in the past and doing acoustic versions, like with Evidence, and I saw you do something with Dante, and we had Dante. He didn't come here in person because we had to do, a Zoom interview, but also not being able to go on the road. So do you feel like in some ways you grew creatively, and then in some ways you're kind of held back, or how was that experience for you?
I mean, I definitely think I grew creative. I've been writing a lot more, and doing things like that, like with Dante and other people. There's been more opportunities for those kind of things, and I mean, obviously it's been tough not being in front of people and worshiping with people and being able to share your songs that you're creating, like, in person, but it has opened it up for all those other areas to do that in, and just writing. Like, I mean, my last album, Evidence, it's not even a year old. It'll be a year old in a month, and I already
happy birthday, album.
I know, happy birthday. And but I already feel like I'm writing almost have like all the songs for the next project or project and a half. I mean, or little ideas, and I think it's just because the last year and a half has been the way it is, and in some ways it's forced me. I need a good, kick to just get out into like doing what I'm called to do as far as like songwriting and creating. Yeah. But like once it happened, it lit this fire in me to like, oh, okay, I want to like be prepared for the next season.
Were flowing.
Yeah, I know they were, and so it has been great, and I'm excited to see what's next and what.
It sounds like
to
y'all
record.
have really just been leaning into the moment,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
in it of itself very inspirational.
Yeah.
So thanks for
been
sharing that part of us with us. Like
Thank you.
what has been the vibe of the inspiration?
Yeah.
If you could give us, I'm not trying to have
no,
these sneak peeks, but
No, it's great. That's great. You know what? It's definitely been a vibe. Everything's always a vibe.
it's a season of creativity. I love to call it. Like.
A lot of the songs I've been writing have been more scaled back. Me and my acoustic kind of. They feel like singer-songwriter, Americana-ish type vibes, but definitely like still like a worship song. Like I hear it, I'm like, well, that's a worship song that I think I would lead on a Sunday, but it just kind of sounds more like me in a pedal steel or something like, like
grounded and rootsy.
Yeah,
but
rootsy,
still...
folky, country. I don't know what to say, what to call it. I have all these like, sometimes people think, oh, he's country, and I'm like, I mean, I guess kind of, but then I don't know. But they've been kind of in that vein, and so I think I'm kind of just leaning into that a little bit and working on something that would be maybe it's 5 or 6 songs, an EP or something that just kind of is more in that vein. And then I have some others that are more the classic, bigger
like
anthem,
power
like
worship.
worship or radio type anthem thing that I love and that still it feels like me too. And so, I'm excited.
So maybe we could get like a double-sided album.
Right. Maybe who knows?
I don't know.
I don't know.
The ideas out there now.
I'm good at like writing them and getting them together, and then I'm like, I have to go to other people that are smarter than me. Like, how do we present this? What do we do?
What does this look
I have
like?
all these things. I don't know what to do with them.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, seriously. But
Well, it sounds really. I love that more rooted and maybe soulful because it's bearing part of you that maybe wouldn't have come out if you didn't have as much downtime.
No,
At least that's what
totally.
I'm hearing from a lot of artists is because you do. You have to sit down and kind of reflect on. It's not. You had to slow down for a second.
Right.
And it sounds like it's hit you in that way too.
It has.
But it sounds like you've gone in both veins. You're
Yeah.
still going in your normal momentum and also getting back in touch with some of that deeper part.
Yeah.
I'm excited to
good.
hear what that even sounds like.
Me too. I'm
Folksy
excited to
and
get it out.
all of that sounds, I think, from what I'm also hearing from you and from other people is they want that connection. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if that is going to connect with people really well.
I hope so.
Yay!
I love that. It feels authentic. That's what it just feels like. Oh, this is how it sounds when these songs come out.
Chords
Right.
the truth.
Right. Thank you. That's so good. Yeah.
So going back out, are you experiencing, this question is so hard this summer because it seemed like everything was rocking and rolling and people were able to get back out on the road. Now it feels like we're kind of reeling it in a little bit, but it can be a toss-up. So how do you feel about it? Have you felt good on the road? What does it look like coming into the winter months?
Yeah. It was just that. I think this summer I went out with Bethel Music. We went out with Chris Tomlin and Carrie, Job, and Cody, and it was amazing. It was just to be out. It felt like 10 years had gone by. I mean, it was like felt like it's been so long since I
haven't seen you.
Yeah, it's so crazy how dramatic I felt and got. But and that was amazing. And then so I thought, oh, we're gonna get back into this groove and it's gonna be great. And you could feel people just like so ready and happy to just be together and sing and worship and then this fall I actually had a tour planned. It was gonna be like our first headlining tour and we had to cancel it just because of COVID and everything, numbers pulling back and just I think there has been a hesitancy from people to like fully, which I get and I understand. But so that's a little bit of like, okay, well, it's not quite back to normal, but I'm still excited for what's, especially for next year and what's happening. And it's opened back up this fall to me to go to a lot of churches and even just be there on Sunday morning, lead worship and just so I'm eager to jump back into.
Were you doing that in California? Do you think you're bringing that more in your community here?
Yeah, I mean, when we were there, we were shut down more there than we have been here in the South. So I think even just it had been a while since I just led worship at my church, my home church.
Yeah.
And so just this past year of being here, and even I go back a lot to Bethel and lead maybe 3 or 4 times just this past year since I moved. And so that it's since things are rolling a little more normal and church is open again, that's been amazing. I mean, it's been awesome because you feel like people coming in with like that hunger and passion and just almost like, I mean, I don't want to say people took it for granted, but just when you don't have like that coming together as a corporate body and worshiping together, when you don't have it for so long, and then you come back together and you feel like, oh, this is why this is so important. Like we need each other, and it is great that the home groups and small groups, those are all awesome too. But there's something too when you come together with
it's almost like visceral. It's like a vibration of like motion. Especially experiencing it here in Nashville, I feel that way all the time. So
I mean, it's just an encouraging. Yeah, when you hear others worshiping and just the heart that's coming out of their song, when it comes together, it just brings so much life and brings so much encouragement to your own life. It's good. It's so good.
That's amazing. So do you feel like when you're writing, that's what you're trying to remind people, maybe a little bit of what, I don't know, introspection, how to reflect on what's really important, or is it more about just your experiences?
It's been
or
maybe
both.
A little both. I think some of the songs that are coming out have been, they felt a little personal and personal experience, but then in some ways, I don't know how, I think a lot of times I've written for so long towards, and aimed it towards like corporate worship settings, that even when I'm like, feel like I'm getting personal, maybe in a verse, the verses are like more personal, I feel like the choruses and kind of go back to like, all right, so corporately, let's sing about this, sing to the Lord about this. But so I think it's been a little bit of both, and then there's been some storytelling type songs that I love talking about. I love taking like stories in the Bible and maybe writing a worship song that's more geared towards like maybe the woman at the well or that story, or Abraham. I wrote a song like that. I have a song that I just wrote about Jesus being a kid and how he was like an old soul when he was a kid, because I had this idea thinking about the Lord when I thought about my buddy, my best friend. His son is like 11 and he's this old soul of a kid. He's just this like, and
I've met a few of those, and you're like, who are you?
It's like he's 11 but really like 60, and you're like, and I just started thinking about I wonder if like Jesus, he was 12 years old, like teaching the leaders and running off away from his mom, but like was he this old soul kind of kid? Because I mean he's Jesus, he's eternal, he's been, he was, and so a song came out about that was just about him being like a full-grown man at a very young age, and it
sounds like you're really just open to whatever is inspiring you.
Yeah, it's like whatever feels the most authentic to where I am in that moment, and sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's just I just want to worship, so it's been good.
It sounds beautiful. Like I said, it really sounds like you took the cards that were dealt and kind of just moved with the tide. Let me use a very coastal reference, since you seem to be a salt air lover.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're excited to go in whatever direction this year brings.
Yeah.
Do you think that once you get back out on the road, that will start kicking off this next album, or do you think that you'll kind of take a break? I'm just trying to pull everything out of you. I'm sorry. You have to give us all the exclusive information.
You're like, you want every
Tell
detail.
Me your plans
What's
for
happening?
The rest of all time. No, just kidding.
Well, I'm not totally sure. I know. So I'm going out next year with Phil Wickham.
Okay.
And he's touring his album, and so I'm gonna go out with him and be a part of that. And I'm hoping maybe even this little thing that we're talking about can be out for that, or maybe I have a few singles that we might direct.
Hey, you're in the town to do it.
I know. I don't have to fly here anymore.
And people's show got canceled. They have time.
They have time. I have a lot of time.
You could
to
get your
work
pedal lap steel player.
I know. I didn't think, I was like, my tour got canceled. I have all the fall to just make music now. That's actually awesome.
And what a beautiful time to be making music.
I know.
Well, we're so happy to have you as like a new-ish Nashvilleian area, I suppose.
It's so
I'm
good to be
not
here.
trying to call you out, but we are expecting to kind of not see you, but you will be at the Double Wars.
I will be there. I'll be in the building.
Hopefully being able to catch up
Yeah.
with a bunch of people that you haven't been able to see over the
Yeah.
last 15 months
Yeah,
or
it'll
so,
be
or
fun.
however long we've been in this
I know.
time warp.
I know.
And yeah, is there anything else that we need to know? Any secret that you need to tell us before we let you go?
Any secrets? No, I don't think so. I hope not. I hope I haven't kept anything from you.
No, I think you've been. I think it's been delightful.
I've been an open book.
Well,
here.
we're excited. We're also going to have you play a couple live
Yeah.
songs, so we're excited to have that. But thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And
This was
hopefully
fun.
we'll see you and maybe a couple other Bethel Music members in the
Yeah.
near future.
Yeah, I hope
Awesome.
so.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you. It's good to be here.